Welcome, everybody, to the latest episode of the One of One Card Show. My name is Luke, and I am your host. And in this week's episode, we are here to review 2025 Topps Finest WWE. So let's begin. Topps Finest has been around for a long time. But it's the first Topps Finest product from WWE released since 2021. Finest has a history dating back to 1993 with baseball as the first modern premium chrome or chromium card set. It would later expand to other sports and entertainment as well. Finest usually has abstract backgrounds with swirls, waves, shards, and other geometric textures, as you can see from the Roman Reigns and Drew McIntyre cards from 2020, as well as the John Cena X Fractor card that you can see from 2021. But this year, there's a different approach. Now, the goal in this week's episode is we are going to review 2025 finest from WWE, and we're going to look at my breakdown of the base cards, the autos, the inserts, as well as case hits, and provide my final takeaways on it. And I'll give you a hint. I like it a whole lot better than last month's Cactus Jack release. So let's begin. What's in the box? Well, you can see that they're selling right now for about $350 on eBay for a hobby box. You get 10 cards per pack, 6 packs per box, and 8 boxes per case. You can see that there's rookie cards this year from Jordan Grace, Zaria, as well as Kendall Gray. And inside of each hobby box, you can find 2 autographs, 6 uncommon base cards. And we're going to talk about, this whole scheme of uncommon, common, rare, and all that stuff. 2 rare base cards, 8 inserts, 2 base refractors, 1 checkboard, as well as 5 additional base parallels. So we're going to go into all detail about what to expect inside of a box and what these cards look like. One other big thing we want to point out is that Logan Paul was initially advertised as having one of his rookie cards in this set, but he is no longer included. It's unclear why. Maybe it was some sort of licensing issue. I'm not really sure, but it's kind of strange that you can even see the rendering here that Logan Paul was going to have a card, but no longer is featured in Finest. We'll see what happens with that. So there are 3 different types of base cards in this 300 card base card set. It features past and present wrestlers, and it's divided equally into 3 different tiers. There's a common tier on the left. You can see the Jey Uso. There's an uncommon tier in the middle. You can see Stephanie Vaquer, and you can see a rare on the right. You can see John Cena. Some wrestlers are only featured in one of the tiers, whilst other wrestlers, I believe, are featured in all 3. I'm not really sure how they decided on that, but yeah, it's kind of strange in my opinion. Now, let's get into the base set for the common. There's 100 cards. There's 10 parallels. You can see refractors of the lowest parallel. They're found in every 5 packs, whereas the superfractor is found in every 1,010 packs. So you better be ripping a whole lot of cards if you want to be getting any of the superfractors in this. You can also see over here, and this is going to be one thing that's rather confusing, is that for the parallels, some parallels are going to be much higher number of cards printed for the common, and then it gets progressively lower throughout. It's very, very confusing. But for example, with a red refractor, it's numbered out of 10 for the common. And we'll go through and we'll see that, what we mean by that later on. For the base design, I think that the base design for the common as well as the others is rather striking. It's got a metallic diamond plate steel pattern throughout. It almost looks like the steel steps as they're walking into the ring. It's got a very industrial vibe going on with the large neon green WWE logo along with the purple as well. There's a whole lot of paint splatter throughout, and there's like a steel beam frame on the bottom of the Hulk Hogan logo. I mean, Hulk Hogan name and WWE logo at the bottom. I really, really like this card, and I think it stands out in just the base card alone. Um, One thing I am a little bit disappointed in when it comes to parallels, though, is I think that some of the parallels don't really do a good job compared to others. For example, the gold in the common is numbered out of 75, and it's the little diamonds for the steel pattern that really shows that it's the gold. It's kind of hard to tell that that's gold or is that yellow because Topps sometimes does have yellow refractors. I don't really think that really works well with the green and the purple, which is, all throughout the card. Furthermore, I don't think that the red refractor, I'm a big collector of red refractors for WWE cards and other sports as well. But I don't think the red refractor actually works all that well with the green and the purple. One other thing that we want to point out is that this is just another WWE set that has the wrestlers' photos in either, black, white, gray, which actually really works well in this design. But let's start seeing some color for the photos. Now, I will say that when it comes to things that I love about the common parallels, I really, really love some of the lower tiered parallels, like the blue checkerboard refractor out of 149 for Asuka. I think looks incredible. In addition to that, you can see the purple refractor or purple checkerboard refractor. I don't know why they're not calling this X-fractor, but purple checkerboard refractor out of 199 for Triple H. These cards are probably going to go for maybe like 10-ish dollars, maybe $20 tops, depending upon some wrestlers, maybe a whole lot more. But I think they look absolutely stunning. And these are like lower tiered refractors. So I actually like these better than some of the lower ones. So I'm going to give this for the common card design for both base card and base card parallels. I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10 for both of them. I mean, obviously, you're not going to love every single parallel that's there, but they look really, really good. Like, look at that die cut for Asuka, a die cut refractor. That's stunning, stunning in terms of how it pops. Um, Now, let's move on to the uncommon. Once again, there's 100 cards, there's 10 parallels. Refractors are a little bit more harder to pull. It's one out of every 12 packs now, whereas red refractors now are numbered out of five. And it's found every 203 packs. And superfractors, once again, are found once, the one of one in every 1010 packs. Now, for this design for uncommon, it's really not a whole lot different than the common card. You can see just on the upper left-hand corner, there's a little bit of differences. The steel diamond plate pattern is no longer there. It's not really that much different. You can see the Triple H card right there, but I will say once again, there are some things that are a little bit disappointing, and I think that you can see over here. This is a Stone Cold Steve Austin card. It's the numbered out of 15 in the red black vapor refractor. I don't think that in the red and the black work well with the purple and the green, the lime green in the background. So I would say that's kind of a disappointing thing here for a parallel, especially if that's something that, is a really low numbered card for this set. On the other hand, though, as I was mentioning before, some of these checkerboard refractors, like look at that Becky Lynch. That card is just unbelievable looking in just the standard checkerboard refractor. I love that card. I love the photo for the Becky Lynch. I love the background in terms of just how much it pops. And even the standard refractor, you can see that for Triple H, just looks absolutely incredible. So I am once again going to give I'm once again going to give that a 9 out of 10 for the base card and the base card parallels. Now, let's get to the rare. There's only 8 parallels for this set for the rare. And, you can see over here, refractors now one out of every 24 packs. Red refractors are now one out of three. I mean, out of three now for the numbering, and it's found every 338 packs. And the superfractors, once again, found once every 1010 packs. So they're harder to pull. The numbers are going lower and lower for what they are. Like a gold refractor in the rare is only out of 20, for example. Um, This design is really awesome, I think. It's got, it's taking the base and the uncommon or the common and the uncommon, and they're adding even more like graffiti design in the spray paint. You can see the attitude. There's like white graffiti along the right side, top to bottom. I think this card is just really, really awesome looking. I think it's really cool. Once again, though, I will say that for the parallels, gold generally looks great in virtually every single card design. But look at this Alistair Black card over here. I don't think the gold works all that well with um, the purple and the lime green. I don't think it works all that well. It's very, very busy, and the color scheme just doesn't really do a whole lot for me. But I will say that the die cut refractor looks great. And you can see the Ariana Grace and the Rhea Ripley in the black out of 15. I think that looks really strong because, you get the black, the lime green, and purple. That sort of color scheme works well for me. And I keep bringing up the lime green and the purple. How can one not think of like the Joker to some extent as well? I can't forget about that. But I really, really like that. So for this, I am going to give the rare base card and the rare parallel. So you can see the Jacob Fatu one of one superfractor was pulled. I'm going to give that a 10 out of 10 for both of them. And I will say that for the Superfractor one of one, that gold is different in terms of how it is compared to the gold refractor. And that works for me, but not just the straight up gold parallel. I don't know why, but I think it's just the color gold that's presented in the Superfractor versus the standard gold refractor. But this card is awesome. It's one of the better cards I've seen in terms of design all year long for WWE, and quite frankly, all year long for any cards I have seen for 2025 by Topps or Panini. Great design. Keep it up. Now we have the finest autographs. We're going to start to get into autographs. Autographs, the finest autographs are one of the more popular, is going to be definitely one of the more popular autographs that are in the finest. One of the big things that we're going to see in all of the autographs is that a lot of these cards have inscriptions, whether it be on the Superfractor and a lot of the out of the 25 ones. The inscriptions, people love them. I think they're nice. I don't necessarily think they ought to or should command the level of premium that some people are going for it. But this kind of continues on for the finest autographs, that graffiti style vibe. You can see Chelsea Green Superfractor with where it says "Pledge Your Allegiance," along with Dirty Dom for Dirty Dominic Mysterio. Again, that's a great design, especially in the Superfractor, and it does come in, multiple parallels. These autographs are found in one out of every 19 packs or fewer. For these designs, I am giving it a 9 out of 10. Once again, the gold out of 50, it just doesn't work with the red, the black, and the gray, white, black and white photos. It just doesn't work for me. So that's definitely one of the weaker of the parallels, I would say. Whereas the base, I think, looks really nice in the Jacob Fatu. And one thing I've noticed for the finest autograph design is that it's really hard to tell, what the difference between a red out of five is versus that very base design. I know obviously that there's more graffiti in the red, but quite frankly, that's hard to tell. So that's one thing maybe they could work on if they continue this graffiti type style, for 2026 and beyond. Now we have finest moments signatures. There's 23 cards in this. It's found in one out of every 28 packs, and there's again a whole bunch of parallels from refractor all the way down to fractor. Um, I am not the biggest fan of the finest moments. I think it's rather busy. I don't really like the border all throughout it. There's a little too much going on with that design, and it's just too monochromatic for me. Um, Obviously the Liv Morgan, it's definitely got a little bit of red spray paint going on, and the Asuka's got the blue spray paint with the blue checkerboard out of 75. But yeah, it just doesn't do a whole lot for me. It's supposed to be a specific major moment in the wrestler. You can see Liv Morgan winning the title at the Queen of the Ring, but I'm going to give this a 4 out of 10. This is definitely one of the weaker parts of the finest set so far for me. Next up, we have the for autographs, we have the Masters autographs, which definitely are inspired by the 1990 subset for baseball. You can see like the Ken Griffey Jr. 1997 finest refractors. Um, I really like this autograph set over here. I think it's a really great design. You can see CM Punk with his inscription of best in the world. In CM Punk, I don't know what goes on with CM Punk signing his autograph, but he needs to get like a new marker or pen every single time he signs because the autographs never come out good for him. You can see even in that 1 of 1 there, it just doesn't look good. But I really like this design. I'm going to give this a 9 out of 10. You can see there's even rock autographs in there and the black out of 25, and you can see the Solo Sikoa, which looks really great, especially with him wearing the red Ula Fala in the out of 5. Great design for the Masters autographs. So again, keep that up, Tops, because this is a really great set so far. Now we have a new design. It's called the Finest, which kind of looks a little bit, similar to the Masters. I would say it's almost like a newer version of that, or at least it comes off that way for me. Um, you can see Rhea Ripley inscription on the Superfractor 1 of 1. These are starting to get a little bit harder to pull. It's found every 137 packs. And I think this design is great. Again, you can see some really interesting photos that we're seeing. I don't think I've ever seen that photo of The Rock on a card before. However, we can see over here, there is a Hulk Hogan autograph in here for the finest. But one thing I noticed is that it's a sticker autograph. So that's a little bit surprising to me because most of the autographs that I have seen so far throughout this finest set has been on card auto from like The Rock, Rhea, and so on. But Hogan is a sticker autograph. So it's going to be interesting to see how long and how many stickers Hulk Hogan signed because obviously Hulk Hogan has passed away over the summer, but are we going to be seeing Hulk Hogan autographs for a very, very long time? That'll be interesting to see. But I'm giving this an 8 out of 10. I think this is a really, sharp design. I like it quite a bit. Now we have some other things. I'm not going to really review this because it's kind of like a continuity and retrospective. You're seeing a whole lot more Rock, Cena, and Triple H cards. There's even a Triple H autograph with Randy Orton. But it's time to play the game, and Triple H has a card in it. That's just one example of it. A lot of those cards look kind of similar, and they've been popping up throughout the Topps WWE sets so far this year in 2025. So again, I think we're going to keep seeing these pop up. So now let's get to the case hits and inserts. The first insert that we're going to be looking at is the Showstopper. There's 25 cards in the Showstopper insert set, and it's apparently playing off of like modern finest basketball. You can see Topps does produce basketball cards right now. They or at least recently they are getting the license for NBA, but they've been producing basketball cards without the NBA license. You can see a Victor Wembanyama Showstopper card. I once again really like the graffiti style of the Showstopper. The only thing I don't really like about this respective card is that show is very, very easy to tell that it says show right there, but stoppers, it's kind of hard. So that's one thing that I would say if they could have fixed that, it would have been much better of a design. But these do look pretty good. The red out of 5 in it, you can see Rob Van Dam. But I actually think the black out of 25 actually looks better for the Rhea Ripley because I think those colors match better, especially with the stopper font being in the black and the graffiti in the back for black as well. I'm giving that an 8 out of 10. I really, really like that design quite a bit. Next, we have for insert, we have the Intimidators insert. There's 30 cards in this Intimidator set, and it's supposed to be paying tribute to it's a reimagination of the 1996 Finest baseball set. Once again, when you think of mid 90s baseball, Ken Griffey Jr. is definitely going to be the person you're thinking of. That's an example of the Intimidator set from that time period. I really like this design as well. There's a whole bunch of parallels that continue to go along with it. But if there's one parallel that has stood out to me for the Intimidators insert set, and that is the red out of five, and with Roman Reigns, that is such a cool design in terms of how the red in the background pop with that, pretty crazy, frenetic font. I also think it looks pretty good in the gold out of 50, but definitely so far of all the parallels that I've seen for this, the red out of five just stands out to me. And that's why I'm giving this insert set a 9 out of 10. I just think it's really, really cool. Next, we have the finest finishers. Now, finest finishers is once again, it's supposed to be kind of a play on the 1997, 1998 basketball design. You could see a Michael Jordan card over there, which is definitely a rather iconic card from the late 90s. And the finest finishers is once again playing off of that. It looks like there's crumbling concrete or a wall in the background as the wrestlers are performing their finishing move. You can see the Million Dollar Man Ted DiBiase putting his finishing move on the Million Dollar Dream. Yeah, I think that's a really, really cool design. And you can see Miz giving the skull crushing finale in the red out of five, and you can see Sami Zayn with the black out of 25. I think these are just a really great design overall, and again, it's paying tribute to the late 90s cards for the insert. Um, yeah, so I really like that. Now we have the turn. The turn is supposed to be wrestlers who are representing the before and after of their heel turn. So you can see an early look of Seth Rollins, and now from when he was with the Shield to now, in his modern form, Seth freaking Rollins. It's just, kind of a basic design compared to some of the others, but I think it's really cool how they are bringing those two together. I'm going to give this an 8 out of 10. There's nothing that I really love about it, but there's nothing that I really dislike. In the Superfractor one of Stone Cold Steve Austin, I think looks really awesome. And the Bailey as well, and the black out of 25 just looks really cool as well. Again, rather simple, straightforward, but it gets the job done, I would say, for this one. Next up, we have full segment. This one is definitely one of the more lackluster ones. The full segment is supposed to be wrestlers who had TV segments, like Jake the Snake Roberts had the Snake Pit. There's a whole bunch of wrestlers over the course of WWE history have had their respective shows. Like Alexa Bliss having a moment of bliss, Carlito having Carlito's Cabana. This one doesn't really do a whole lot for me. It looks like it also looks like a ransom note as the border. I don't. Maybe that's what the route that they were going, but I'm going to give this one a 3 out of 10. It's just not working. It's definitely probably the most lackluster part of the Topps Finest set for 2025. Yeah, just not a whole lot going for it. I don't think I'd be trying to pursue any of these cards, but because of just, it's really hard to read as well, like the full segment, because it really does look like a ransom note. If you're opening it up, it almost looks like a parody almost of what's supposed to be, cool or awesome looking. Yeah, definitely not on that one. Now we move on to the case hits. For case hits, the one of the first ones that stood out to everybody when they saw it was the Dark Energy. And this one is supposed to be, the ominous characters of WWE, like the Fiend Bray Wyatt, the Demon Finn Balor, Mankind, Paul Bearer, Papa Shango, and so on, and Undertaker. This is definitely a card that if you're into the supernatural end of WWE things, this stands out to you. These are found in one and out of every 67 packs, so that's it's quite a number of packs you're going to have to open, and quite a number of hobby boxes you have to open and get one of these things. I think it's really cool. I'm giving this a 9.5 out of 10, and I'll tell you why I'm not giving it a 10. A 10. Um, I really like, again, they included Papa Shango with the, as well as Mankind. What a great photo of Mankind. I really like the font that they're going for too. It reminds me of like if you're watching a horror movie and you're getting down to that basement and you don't want to know what's in the basement sort of thing. Yeah, I'm giving it a 9.5 out of 10. And the reason why I'm not giving it a 10 out of 10 is because of this. How do you not include Alexa Bliss from when she was with Bray Wyatt during the Firefly Funhouse era of things? Makes no sense to me. She had, her with Lily. That would have been a great card for Dark Energy. That's just me. I'll move on. Now we have another one. This is kind of a strange card. At first, I could see myself potentially hating this. It's called double exposure for a case hit. This is found one out of every 240 packs. But this card is also sort of like a found footage horror film or like security footage in terms of how it's presented. It's kind of like you got the photo, the portrait of the wrestler like Lyra Valkyria or Roman Reigns, but then on the bottom you got them, performing a move as well. This one is I want to see what this looks like in hand. If anybody wants to buy me one, you could definitely do that. But I definitely want to see what one of these looks like in hand because these are really really striking to me at least. Again, you can see like a Damian Priest, Jade Cargill, again performing some of their moves along with the portrait above. It's got like that play, the source. It looks like the security or found footage, as you could see that I gave the example on the left hand side. I'm going to give this an 8 out of 10. It's kind of a really interesting design that they're going here for this, and it's kind of original. I haven't seen anything like that before for any sports or trading cards. Now we move on to the Ula Fala, and this is found one every 480 packs. Oh my gosh, I don't even know how how many packs you'd be opening to get one of those. Obviously, the pack odds are not in your favor for this. It is playing for in the idea of wrestlers with Samoan background. So if it's obviously Jimmy Uso, Jay Uso, Roman Reigns, Solo Sikoa, and The Rock are the ones that are featured. Uh, this is definitely going to be one of the more popular cards in the finest and one of the more sought after cards. Um, I'm going to be giving this an 8 out of 10. I think this card looks really, really sharp. I think, like, look at that Solo Sokoa. It's got that, like, the refractor design as well to it. One thing I do want to point out before we go to the final, discussion and my final takeaways is that some people have criticized, and I don't necessarily disagree with it, that that there should be parallels for the case hits. I can understand having them, but I can also understand, maybe not doing that right away, or maybe not doing that because you want to make these cards in and of itself something that maybe it's only limited to 25 or 50, let's say, or whatever number they produce. But maybe you don't want to make it oh, I'm just really going for the Solo Sokoa or Rock one of the Ula, for the Ula Fala case hit. Um, so I really, really like that. And I see I included double exposure. That's the Ula Follow that we're talking about. So now, what are the pros and cons of this set? Pros, I think most designs are incredibly sharp, as I've said multiple times so far. I think there's lots of variety to this set for, the base cards, the inserts, case hits, the autographs, but it's still kind of got a cohesive vibe to it. You got some that are harkening back to like the late 90s finest from, baseball, basketball, and so on. But then you've got, the graffiti style that they're trying to present for 2025. This is a very original design that they're going for with the graffiti stuff. Um, Even some of the cheaper parallels, as I repeatedly said, like the blue and the purple checkerboards, I think that some of those look a little better than the more expensive ones. So yeah, I really, really like it when it comes to the pros. Next up, the cons. If we're going to talk about some of the cons, we got to talk about, if we're going to say some of the positive things, we got to talk about some of the negatives. The parallel structure is just really oddly complex. I remember when people were talking about how Top started to shift to this with baseball in the last couple of years, people were complaining about that. It just doesn't need to be that way. They should probably fix that, in my opinion. Next up, it's another set with gray, black, and white for the photos. Like, let's start to see more color in the photos, especially when we know that the WWE superstars have such awesome ring gear. I want to see a lot of color with that. Next, we have some of the older photos for some of the superstars. There are some superstars here who are still active wrestlers, and we're seeing photos from them from like 7 or so years ago. I'm not really sure why that is happening, especially when we have a whole lot of photos. I see cameramen all the time, taking photos for WWE TV. Doesn't need to be that way. Next, some of the parallels are hard to decipher, especially like the red black vapor versus the red versus the black. If you're going to have a parallel structure like you are, you should probably make it really clear in terms of what the parallel actually is going to be. And then some of the parallel colors, as I've repeatedly stated, such as the red and to some extent the gold, don't exactly work with the lime and green purple dominance of the base set. And then lastly, as I've said before, the full segment insert is pretty bad. I just don't really like it. So my final grade for this is a 9 out of 10. This is definitely one of the better products I have seen for a WWE release. Quite frankly, maybe one of the best since 2022 Select, which is definitely one of my more favorite sets of all time from 2022 Panini. I think Finest, though, does a wonderful job. I think that, if I felt that Cactus Jack was extremely lackluster outside of some of the case hits and inserts, and I thought that Topps Chrome from 2025 was kind of just okay, average with some good components to it. This stands out to me. There's like some cards I am definitely going to be seeking out, and I'm looking forward to getting. So, are you planning on buying any of the finest cards? Which ones are you going to try to get? Which ones do you like best? Which ones do you like least? And be sure to like and subscribe to the One of One Cards channel on YouTube and Instagram as well. Have a wonderful day, everybody. My name is Luke. Goodbye.